The night was brutal, cold enough to steal the breath from your lungs, sharp enough to slice through every layer of clothing. Snow fell endlessly, swirling under the dim glow of street lamps. The streets were nearly empty, save for the occasional echo of hurried footsteps. But as Marcus turned the corner near the old downtown square, he saw something that made him stop dead in his tracks. A little girl, no older than 8, sat trembling on a snow-covered bench. Her lips were blue, her fingers red and raw from the cold. She wore only a thin jacket, clearly meant for gentler weather. And in that haunting moment, Marcus's breath caught in his chest, not from the cold, but from something much deeper. Before you hear what happens next, please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe the world still needs kindness, compassion, and second chances. Marcus was a man who had already lost so much. Once a proud father, once a husband, once a man with a stable life, he had watched everything slip away after a series of mistakes and bad luck. A car accident had taken his little girl 3 winters ago. Since then, he'd been living day to day, doing odd security jobs, sleeping in small rented rooms, trying to outrun his own grief. But tonight, that grief stood in front of him again, in the eyes of this freezing little girl. He didn't even think. His body moved before his mind could. He knelt down, his knees pressing into the snow, and gently wrapped his heavy wool coat around her shoulders. The warmth of the coat swallowed her small frame, and she looked up at him with frightened, tearful eyes. As he tied the coat tighter, he asked softly if she was alone. The girl didn't answer, just looked past him, as if afraid of something, or someone. Marcus followed her gaze and noticed a shadow at the end of the street. A tall figure, standing just under the dim light of a lamppost, watching. His instincts kicked in. Years of security work taught him when something wasn't right, and this felt wrong. But when he turned back, the little girl was crying silently, her small body trembling under his coat. Marcus tried to comfort her, promising that she was safe now, even though he wasn't sure he could keep that promise. He took her hand and said they should get somewhere warm. The nearby cafe, the one that stayed open for night shift workers, was just 2 blocks away. As they walked, he kept glancing over his shoulder, but the shadowy figure was gone. Still, the chill that ran down his spine wasn't from the weather. Inside the cafe, warmth and the smell of coffee wrapped around them. The girl sat in the corner, clutching his coat like it was armor. The waitress brought her a cup of hot chocolate without even being asked. People could sense when someone needed help. After a few quiet minutes, Marcus learned her name was Lily. Her voice was so faint he had to lean close to hear it. She said she had been walking with her mother, but they got separated. Her mother had told her to wait, but the cold had become unbearable. Marcus's heart broke at her words. He thought about his own daughter, how he used to tuck her in during snowstorms, promising that she'd always be warm and safe. He told the cafe manager to call the police and report a missing child. But before they could finish the call, the cafe door creaked open, and the same shadowy figure stepped inside. A woman, drenched in snow, her face pale and desperate. Her eyes scanned the room and landed on Lily. In an instant, she ran forward and scooped the girl into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably. The entire cafe went silent. It was her mother. The woman could barely speak through her tears. She thanked Marcus again and again, explaining that they had been running from an abusive situation. She had no one to turn to, no home, just a few dollars and the clothes on their backs. She had gone to make a call for help, and when she returned, Lily was gone. Marcus listened quietly, realizing this woman was fighting the same darkness he once faced, fear, loss, hopelessness. The police soon arrived and took their information. The mother hesitated, clearly embarrassed by her situation, but Marcus stepped forward and spoke for her, explaining everything. The officer told them they could go to a local shelter that helped women and children escape abuse. Marcus offered to take them there in his old pickup truck. The woman agreed, and they left together into the quiet, snow-covered night. The ride was silent except for the hum of the engine and the soft sniffling from the back seat. Marcus didn't ask questions. He just drove carefully, guiding them through the frozen streets toward safety. When they arrived, the shelter's warm lights glowed like a promise. As they got out, the woman turned to him and said, "I don't know your name, but you saved my daughter. You saved us." Marcus just smiled faintly and said, "Sometimes we just end up where we're needed most." He didn't realize then that this simple act of kindness would change both their lives forever. Weeks later, Marcus received a letter at the security office where he worked part-time. It was from the woman. Her name was Clara. She wrote that she and Lily were doing well, rebuilding their lives. They had a small apartment now, and Lily was back in school. Enclosed with the letter was a photograph, Lily, smiling brightly, wearing a red scarf. Clara wrote that Lily insisted Marcus should have it, saying, "He's my hero." Marcus sat in his car for a long time, staring at the photo. For the first time in years, he felt something warm stirring in his chest, something like hope. He had spent so long feeling like the world had taken everything from him, but now he realized that sometimes, giving what little you have can fill the emptiness inside. That night, he placed the photograph on his dashboard, right next to the one of his late daughter. He whispered quietly, "I kept my promise, baby girl. I helped someone stay safe, just like I couldn't for you." From that day forward, Marcus began volunteering at the same shelter. Every evening after work, he helped serve food, repair things, talk to the kids. People began calling him Uncle Marcus, the quiet man who always showed up with a kind smile and a warm coat for anyone in need. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, and share so others can believe again in the power of kindness and second chances.